and trying to justify.
שלא נשים מהם זכר, שלא הם, לא אמא שלהם, לא הילדה שלהם, לא...
You think you're being merciful to a child, but you're not being merciful to the child. You're being vicious to the ultimate victim that this child will grow up and kill. Because the ideology that that child will grow up with is even worse than the ideology of his father. That's the reason why the Torah in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 20, verse 16, says, rules of war, lo techaye kol neshama.
So they're going by their, let me tell you, they're going by their rules of war that they have interpreted from Deuteronomy. I have my Bible. And you know what disgusts me? Not just from this rabbi, but many pastors in Christendom, how you cherry pick verses to suit what you want it to suit. And you don't see the whole context of everything in its totality. So listen to how he is going to convolutedly, disgustingly use a verse from Deuteronomy to justify the killing of innocent children. You wonder why that landlord stabbed that Muslim child in the US 26 times? You wonder why the day before this landlord was a friend of them, heard that he actually built their playhouse, the tree house for the son. So that's why the child ran to him, never seeing him as an enemy, because he played with the family. He built a tree house for the young boy. How did this man, who's supposed to be, and that's why I tell my children, even now going in elevator, you might see me saying hello and I skin teeth with a neighbor, but trust me, trust no one. And it's unfortunate, but I have to raise my children that way. It says, come see me and come live with me is two different things. And I tell them, who mommy says hi to and show respect to and laugh and all that, yeah, you show respect to, but you don't trust them. You don't go into their house. You don't take no candy from them. You see them in the elevator, you hi and bye, whatever, but you still treat them as a stranger. What you see mommy exercise is me just being friendly, me being cordial, and my character trait of being able to strike up a conversation with anybody. But don't for 1 minute see mommy's interaction as that person is safe. This child did not have that lesson, and that's a part of the Muslims' culture of so loving and trusting people. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying there's something wrong with being that at all. That is how we are supposed to be. So it's not their fault or the child's fault for trusting this landlord that was so friendly to the family, built the boy a treehouse, was so loving and kind. I'm not blaming the victim for this idiot and this vicious attack on his own life. What I want to share is why and how. People want to know, how did this man turn this way? How was he able to stab this boy 26 times? How is it that he saw this child as an enemy, that he has to stab this child? You wonder why this American landlord was able to see this child and stab him 26 times? Because he is eating and he's digesting 24/7 propaganda like this that's told them, when you see a Muslim child, kill that child, because that child is going to grow up and kill somebody else. So you're actually saving someone in the future from them. Listen to why the psyche, the psychological disgustingness as to why that landlord will see this baby, the 6-year-old child, a 10-year-old child, an 11-year-old child, doesn't matter the age, and stab a child. Why would the Israeli government and military see them as human animals? Why is it okay for them to kill children? Because they're not going by the Geneva Convention rules. They're going by Deuteronomy. If you haven't been paying attention, again, on my Instagram, I shared an interview of the former Israeli prime minister where he says what they did wrong was listen to the West. He said it out his mouth. He goes, we're not listening to the West anymore. We're not. He said that was our mistake. Our mistake is to listen to you people and do things by you people and have peace and think we can live to each other. He goes, we're not listening to you anymore. He blatantly said. Then the reporter said, what about the Geneva Convention? He goes, the people of Gaza is for other people's concern. That's not our concern. You want to care about them? That's you. Listen, go on my Twitter. Go on my Twitter. Listen to this. Listen to this clip. I'll try to see if I can also record the clip of the other guys, but it's longer. Just go on my Twitter. Just download the app for such a time as this. And when we do have peace in the Middle East, and when the people of Palestine is free, and when there are international war crimes lodged against people like this rabbi, the former Prime Minister of Israel, the current Prime Minister of Israel, and all those that allowed this to happen, war crimes has to be lodged at them. We cannot allow this to have gone, because you know what? Who's going to be next? Who else? You guys here, especially those from the quote unquote black community that ride and dying with Joe Biden, everybody else, who is somehow justifying what Israel's doing. Who's next? Where they're going to decide who needs to be exterminated and decide which laws they're going to be listening to there. Who's going to interpret from there? Isn't it the same Bible that justified slavery? You guys keep playing around with these people and how they convolutedly do things. There is a code of conduct for war. Don't be pulling Deuteronomy and tell me that's how you're now bringing it into 2022 to cut and annihilate and kill innocent children. Let me tell you, talk about religion being dangerous. I've always told my children that the most dangerous weapon we have in our lifetime and before is religion. When people use religion as a justification for what they do, that's the highest level of atrocity that you could find. You talk about blasphemy. You talk about blasphemy, using God's word to justify this. Boy, there's a place that is designed for leaders like you who call yourself a rabbi, and all those who step into the role of leadership and you use the word of God, the Torah, the Old Testament, and you use the Bible, the New Testament, to justify the things that you're doing, to justify murder, to justify genocide, to justify adultery, to justify fornication, to justify gambling, to justify homosexuality, to justify just love bomb everything. You who are called in leadership, the Bible does talk about who is going to be given a different level of judgment. Okay. Listen to what he's saying from Deuteronomy that justifies.
Do not allow anyone to remain alive. Nothing. No mercy. Anyone to remain alive. Hence the reason why the Torah in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 20, verse 16, says, rules of war. Lo techaye kol neshama. Do not allow anyone to remain alive. Nothing. No mercy. Furthermore, the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 25, verse 19, Macho et zecher Amalek, completely erase any memory of Amalek, which means men, women, and children, the Torah says, do not have the right to exist.
As I started, this is truly
My God.
blowing, but it's not.
My God. So you can go on the Dean show. I've been following a lot of his videos, doing my part here in Canada to share his content. Also, YHWH Institute been sharing their content over on Twitter. I'm sharing as much as I can. So forgive me why I'm not, bringing it over here on Instagram. I'm doing my part, as many other platforms are also doing their part, because we all have followers. The feed it's about helping the feed show narratives, just like we did in COVID-19. And we suffered through many people calling us names, and we didn't care. We made sure we made the feed go. A lot of people left Instagram, and I said, I'm not leaving Instagram. I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna keep doing my feed. I'm gonna keep doing what I can. Because every drop counts. Every drop fills up the bucket. Every drop counts. Every drop fills up the bucket. And for you pastors who are Christians with Jews and are giving this carte blanche with Israel and not seeing that to be a good friend corrects a friend. If you are a friend of Israel, correct Israel. That's all I got to say. A good friend is not a yes man or a yes woman. A good friend corrects his friend. And if you're afraid of correcting your friend because you're afraid of a friendship, then the friendship is not a true friendship then. And that friend isn't a true friend then. That friend wants someone that is just going to acquiesce and just go along with them. So they don't want a friend. They want a subordinate. They want an enabler. They don't want a friend, and they don't want friendship. So you pastors and you Christians who are friends with the Jews and Christians for Jews and allies for Jews, be a true ally and hold up the mirror to your friend and let them know that what they are doing is anti-Christ. Christ is not a symbol of murder and massacre. That is for hell and that's for judgment. What we're supposed to do in the land of the living is to call the unjust things as they are. See, many of you are the same ones who say, who without sin cast the first stone? You're the same one that says, judge not. You're the same one that says, don't talk about homophilia in the church. Don't call this. But you're now the same one that's sanctioning killing people's children. The hypocrisy of Christianity. You're the same one that says, don't cast the first stone. Don't judge. Right? Don't call out pastors that are unfaithful, that's committing adultery. You know, don't call out people's sin. But it's okay to kill people for the sin that you say they represent. Really? Oh, okay. I'm just saying, Christian, you pastors, I saw you before. And that's why many of you don't like me in coming in your church. And many of you have isolated members from me. And I get that. I'm okay. I'm born for this. So it doesn't affect me. For you that's still giving your tithes and still walking into these places where COVID-19 should have shown you who they are. They allow Pharaoh to be your God, and they allow Pharaoh to be the provider of you because their storehouse was eaten by them. There was nothing left in the storehouse to feed the people. So you had to be at the mercy of Pharaoh giving you a check. And as a result of that, you had to be injected with Pharaoh's serum. And you had to take the mark of compromise, the mark of the beast, which is the world that compromise. I would think you should have dust off the sand off your sandals and no longer return to those that now open and say, come in and worship, but they closed unless you had the mark of compromise. The Most High is showing you this again. For those who are stiff-necked to see who truly is a representative of the truth of the living God, here goes another incident to wake you up for you to actually see who is adhering to Bible prophecy, number one, and who is actually adhering to biblical principles, number two. So when I watch videos of the mothers that are still in Gaza and they are there and they are still smiling and they're still, and they're not leaving because they see this time as theirs to be a witness. And they're the one standing. They're the one who opened up their land and brought the Holocaust survivors in, and then they decide to want to take over. There's an energy that's prevalent in humanity that just does not know how to live in peace. There's an energy. There's an energy that is alive in certain communities that don't know how to be grateful for those that open up their land to them. You figure it out. And if it's uncomfortable for you, then you need to look in the mirror. There is an energy that has shown a pattern of ungratefulness and the inability to live in peace. The indigenous will be the one to open up their land and smile and bring you in and share with you, teach you the land, teach you how to survive on the land, teach you how to not be killed by the land, give you all the remedies, everything to make you live, and they share the land, they share the bounty with you. And there is an energy that always turns around and stab these indigenous people in the back to want to take over, dominate, and then push them out. There's an energy. So you, Arnold Schwarzenegger, with your little clip of talking about hate and put it down, and you know what? You need to talk to your community, because it's them who are the ones who need the mirror work. Not the oppressed that needs the mirror work. It's the oppressors that need the mirror work. And people like you, Arnold Schwarzenegger, that keep going around and telling the oppressed that they need to just let it go and let go of the hate. Why don't you talk to your community who are the ones exhibiting this historical pattern of not being able to let go of their hate towards the indigenous that are still standing, still smile, and they just can't get rid of them. The hate that they have for the indigenous people of the lands. There is an energy that hates humanity. Arnold Schwarzenegger, go and do your motivational video to that community. Tell them to put down their hate. Tell them to let it go. Tell them to stop finding the indigenous to blame. And then tell us that we need to pull up our bootstraps. And maybe it's that we're not working hard enough. You know what, Arnold Schwarzenegger? Were you working hard enough before you were banging your nanny? You who have the same energy, ungratefulness, your wife brought this woman into their home and then you decide to now bang her. You know, it's funny how the West takes moral advice from those who are immoral. Have you looked in the mirror and done your mirror work, Arnold Schwarzenegger? Have you looked into how you abused your power and how you walked away from your oath to your matrimonial contract and your vows? Have you done your mirror work? Because it seems like your wife was Palestinian and your nanny was the Holocaust survivor, where your wife opened up her home and gave the nanny stable income, give your nanny the ability to provide for hers, but your nanny and you decide that that was not good enough. And you, Arnold Schwarzenegger, somehow use your power and influence to make her think that she could be the side piece or eventually the primary person. Did you abuse your position of power? Because at the end of the day, it takes two hands to clap, Arnold Schwarzenegger, yours and hers. So you are in no position to be giving any moral, motivational speaking videos telling people when they wrap themselves in the flag of hate. Which one? The swastika that Hitler transformed, that symbol that represented peace, an indigenous symbol that represented peace and positivity. Hitler decided to flip it and now make it negative. So whenever you see the swastika, you think it's hate. Again, as I said, it's an energy that hates indigenousness. You guys go above and beyond and turn our indigenous symbols disgusting, and then you make the world see us as animals. You turn anything that's indigenous, you do everything to flip us and our symbolisms and our words and our way of life. You find a way to make it negative. So Canadians, by now, I would hope that you would not be running with the narratives, but it seems that you are. Go do your research. Take care. This is Lady O. Stay in action with faith and possibility. Walk in and protect your light. Your purpose will find you. Say what you mean and live like you mean what you say. Head on over to my Twitter page.